Welcome to the Butcher Block Horror Podcast, where we exhume horror movies from the past and cut into what makes them so delectable.
It's true.
I'm Kane.
I am JD.
And I am Joe.
And today, in celebration of Dia de los Muertos, we are going to be discussing Cronos, the 1993 first film from legendary filmmaker Guillermo Del Toro.
Brilliant.
Beautiful.
To force feed to you our unwitting victims. Are they unwitting at this point?
They're starting to wise up to us. They're wising up. They're wising up.
If you've listened to the other episodes, you're not unwitting victims anymore.
Although, what if they just rolled in and listened to the most recent episode? Then they could still be falling into a trap.
Well, regardless, we're going to throw Cronos onto the slab, and we'll carve up our favorite portions to force feed to you our witting and unwitting victims.
We cast a wide net here at the Butcher Block Horror Podcast.
If you enjoy the taste of these feasts of fright, then give us a like and subscribe. Be sure to click the bell. You should also go to our website, WeGiveYouBrainworms.com. Here you can see upcoming things we're working on. You could actually listen to the original podcast, Brainworms Podcast, where we discuss the trash dump of literature.
Mm-hmm.
And let's talk about next week for a second.
Well, let's talk about Patreon first.
Oh,
Patreon?
Yeah, money.
What's Patreon?
Yeah. So Patreon, I don't know if you guys know about this, but Patreon is a way that people can directly support artists and content creators without necessarily having to go through evil corporations like Google.
It's true.
Yeah.
So essentially you go to our Patreon. There's some cool stuff, look around, see what you like. Regardless, if you can't give us any money, you can always write a review about us, that kind of stuff. Follow us on Spotify, Amazon Music, that kind of stuff.
Send us your love.
Yeah, and anyone who supports us at the $10 level will get a very special conversation that was deemed too hot for radio.
It was deemed too fucked up for radio.
Yeah, too spicy.
It was definitely a spicy
It was a
conversation.
deep conversation.
Not that deep.
It was balls deep. So, Cronos, really interesting. I would say somewhat scary and
definitely creepy.
Yeah, creepy. I'm looking for, some different descriptive words here to go ahead and lay upon Cronos. It was released in 1993 in Mexico and the US. It has a screen time of 92 minutes, and it was Guillermo Del Toro's first feature film. It just kind of starts off in I believe the 1500s in Veracruz, Mexico, during the Inquisition, and some alchemist builds this thing and winds up in a statue. And then you fast forward many, many, many years into more modern present day, and winds up in the hands of an antique dealer. And he finds it in a statue, a Saint Michael, and cracks it open, and it looks kind of like a golden, I don't know what it would be, a scorpion perhaps. Anyway, it's gives him some strange powers, kind of revitalizes him a bit, and there's this other guy who kind of wants that ability. He's dying. So
it's basically like a different take on like a vampire film?
I can
Essentially,
see that,
yes. Essentially, yes. It's basically just this object that can give you powers, eternal life, that type of thing. But there's some unpleasant disadvantages to it as well.
Like some side effects?
Yeah, a couple of side effects. You don't go unscathed from possessing this thing that everyone refers to as the Cronos. So, you might end up craving the blood of humans.
You can't drink just cow blood or pig blood?
He went to some great lengths to acquire human blood. One scene that I'm thinking of is the scene where he's like laying down on a bathroom floor, just licking blood right off the ground.
That's gross.
Which we've all done at least once in our lives.
Right,
well,
right.
Not blood.
Oh, right. I forgot about that part.
Wait. Have you ever spilled like Like maple syrup in a bathroom?
No, I accidentally dropped my last glass-bottled Frappuccino onto a bathroom floor.
And then you went down to...
Oh, I went down and slurped it all up.
Get the remnants?
It was delicious.
All right. So yeah, is that a sufficient synopsis for our listeners, would you say?
I don't know. We'll have to ask them.
All right. Well, dear listeners, if I gave you a sufficient synopsis, please let us know in the comments
section. If he didn't give you a sufficient
Tell
synopsis,
me to go fuck myself.
You should have stern words for him.
Well, a lot of people are going to have stern words for me anyway. So yeah, this film is they did quite a lot with, I don't know if $2 million in 93 was a little. It sounds like a little, but to me, it seems like Guillermo did quite a bit with $2 million. What do y'all think?
That's not bad at all.
No.
Yeah.
Especially with what he produced.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I mean, it's his first, feature presentation, independent horror film. And it was written and directed by Guillermo Del Toro. And this guy, he's quite a magician, I would say. He's born in 1964 in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. He is a writer, producer, filmmaker, and he's even done some acting. He's got many, many skills, this man does. He was also a special effects and a makeup artist for a time.
Makes sense.
Yeah, his hand was definitely visible in Cronos.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's best known for the very creepy, spooky fantasy film in 2006, Pan's Labyrinth.
Such a good movie.
Great movie.
Yeah, it was really, really awesome visuals for that one. I always think of that character with the eyes in the palms of his hands.
Mm-hmm.
The Pale Man.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that movie is when the fascists get murdered.
Yeah, I like that part too.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like when fascists get murdered?
It's true.
Fascists, generally.
Oh, yeah.
That's a subtle nuance you unveil. Del Toro is also known for The Shape of Water. If anyone's seen that sort of
fish fuckery,
yeah,
that's a good movie.
Gilman revisited sort of thing in 2017. Pretty cool. He won 2 Oscar awards for it, though. Best Picture and Best Director. That's a feat in and of itself. But yeah, he's kind of balancing a lot of his career between lower budget films and some big Hollywood shit.
Right.
You know, for example, Cronos and The Devil's Backbone would be more personal, smaller projects. And then, Pan's Labyrinth or The Shape of Water would be,
Or Mimic.
Mimic. Okay. Yeah. Haven't seen Mimic, but I intend to. This is my first experience with Del Toro in his smaller feature presentations. I'm just, I was accustomed to Pan's Labyrinth, so I didn't really know what to expect upon viewing Cronos, but I was pleasantly surprised.
It was definitely fun.
It was.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in this one, but we're going to get to that. So yeah, in his massive Hollywood budget repertoire, you might recognize films like Blade 2. That was one of his.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hellboy.
Fun movies.
Yeah, and there's a lot of characters, like, for example, Ron Perlman, who is in Cronos. He's also in Hellboy. In fact, he is Hellboy.
I want to be headbutted by Ron Perlman.
And I would expect you to be no more, because I would expect his head to cave your head in.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Joe's got a pretty giant head.
Yeah, but I feel like
I think it would be
it'd
be a pretty interesting matchup. I'm just saying.
I want to say that he has very strong Neanderthal DNA, and I'm not referring to Joe.
I almost spat out my coffee.
Yeah.
That would be a terrible waste of coffee just over a Ron Perlman reference. You don't want to ever spit your coffee out when talking about Ron Perlman. It's just not what you do. Keep your coffee.
Ron
you
Perlman
savor.
Was in a bunch of interesting films throughout this era of filmmaking. He was also in The City of Lost Children, which is a French film.
It's a good movie. It's weird.
It's real weird.
And it's kind of a lot, and it's kind of up its own ass a little bit.
Yeah, the whole time.
Would you say that it
like it.
French
Okay.
tickles its own ass? Sorry, I did just ask you that.
I believe the same the same director that made Amelie made City of Lost Children.
So Del Toro directed Hellboy. He also directed Hellboy 2, if you could imagine that.
The Golden Army.
The Golden Army, Pacific Rim, Crimson Peak. I don't know what Crimson Peak is, but it sounds kind of cool.
It was a good flick. It had a
I didn't like
ending.
the ending. Yeah.
Okay.
But overall, was a good flick.
So at how many minutes in should I turn it off when I watch it? Or should I watch the shitty
just
ending?
Finish it.
If you're going to watch it, watch it.
Sure, go for it. Swing hard. Okay. All right. So Del Toro is also a producer and a writer. He worked on as a writer. I want to say he worked on the film The Orphanage.
Oh, such a good movie. I love that movie. We're going to cover that at some point.
I haven't seen that one.
I wasn't aware of this, but he also did some production in the Hobbit series. You know, the spinoff of the Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did some production work on those films. And also, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. That's Sly Devil, Del Toro.
Don't Be Afraid of the Dark? Oh, yeah. That movie is fun. It's like a remake of an 80s bomb.
Yeah. And he also he did some work on a horror film called Mama in 2013.
It sounds familiar.
Is that the one with the twins?
I think it was.
You know, I'm not sure. I think that it seems like it was a good movie.
Yeah.
If it's the movie I'm thinking
like where
of,
the mama comes home from the hospital.
Yeah, because it had the Jamie Lannister. Yeah. That's one of this. Yeah.
And they're in the bandage, and like everybody thinks like it's their mom inside the bandages. Is that the one?
No, that's different.
Okay.
This movie had Jessica Chastain in it and Javier Botet, who is the incredibly tall, thin man that has been several monsters in many different movies recently. Nicolas Coster-Waldau is in the movie as well.
Yeah.
Excellent. So yeah, Del Toro also did some work on The Book of Life, Uprising, and, which I haven't seen yet, but I'm excited to see it because I absolutely love the book as a kid, but he did some work on the film Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark that came out in 2019.
That was a fun film. I enjoyed that.
Could you sense Guillermo Del Toro's hand in it?
Absolutely.
Beautiful,
some of the creature design.
Awesome.
My biggest issue was that there was a little too much CGI.
Yeah, see, I'm never a fan of CGI. I prefer my effects to be prosthetic and, just more practical.
Mm-hmm.
Practical effects is what I'm doing. So yeah, Cronos, the film we're discussing now, was produced by Arthur H. Gorison. Arthur is also a fairly famous photographer, just kind of known for doing, some different music and also working on a few different films. And then let's see here, there's Bertha Navarro and Alejandro Spingal. Spingal is also a director. Bertha Navarro and Alejandro Spingal are known for working together. They had teamed up in some of the production of a couple other of the smaller Del Toro films. And then there was also Bernard L. Nussbaumer. The film was narrated. Did you guys notice the narrations?
Yeah.
That was Jorge Martinez de Hoyos. And he's a Mexican actor with an enormous film career that spanned from 1948 to around 1996. So, yeah, I'll get into the cast a little bit of Cronos.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
The main guy that we sort of followed around, he played the character of Jesus Gris, and that actor was named Federico Lupi, born in 1936 in Argentina. And he acted in about 100 films. This guy has got a hell of a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, he's got an enormous list of things that he did. Nothing necessarily that I really recognized, but he was noted as being one of Guillermo del Toro's favorite actors. So, I guess Del Toro just loves this guy, and he's been in a few of his films. He was in The Devil's Backbone.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also in Pan's Labyrinth.
Which, all awesome movies.
Yeah, fantastic stuff.
I need to clear the air real quick.
Did you fart?
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was practical effects. And
Really?
I'm just an idiot. Yeah. I mean, obviously there were certain elements that got CGI'd in.
Right.
Sure.
But it wasn't, wow, yeah.
Well,
It makes me want to watch it a little more.
That's exciting.
I'm going to watch it again.
That's very exciting, yeah. because
yeah, I think I confused it with It Chapter 2.
Oh God, how did that happen?
It just because they came out around the same time.
Okay.
And I have a particular distaste for It Chapter 2.
Really? We'll have to talk about that off the air.
Yeah, it was missing the SH. So anyway.
Yeah, my apologies for steamrolling here.
No big deal. I was just going to go ahead and mention Federico Lupi was nominated for the Goya Awards as Best Actor for a role in a movie called Nobody Will Speak of Us When We're Dead. I haven't seen that, but just by the title, I'd have to say that is very fucking...
That sounds interesting.
Very interesting, yeah. So the next actor we can kind of mosey along to would be Ron Perlman, the man with the extremely interesting facial structure.
He's got a very masculine face.
Extremely masculine, yes.
He has a lot of face.
Yeah. It's quite a large, interesting face. And so anyway, he played the character Angel de la Guardia, and he was born in 1950 in Manhattan. You know, he's an American TV, film, voice actor. He won a Golden Globe for his work on the late 80s until about 1990 TV series Beauty and the Beast. You guys remember that one?
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah,
I
Linda
was just
Hamilton.
about to say, I kind of remember Linda Hamilton being in there. And that was before she became involved in the Terminator movie. That was, I think, the first time I noticed Linda Hamilton. Yeah, so she was in Beauty and the Beast as well. Let's see here. He was the voice of Lord Hood in video games Halo 2 and Halo 3.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also does the voice intro to the Fallout games and has since the very first one.
One never changes.
That's cool. I had no idea about that. I didn't see that in anything I was researching. Anyway, he was also in City of Lost Children, and he's best known for his role in Hellboys 1 and 2. So...
I thought those were great
movies. Good movies, yeah.
Yeah, I never quite got that into Hellboy, but I always fancy the kind of comic booky fantasy type of film, so I should probably give those another shot.
They're good.
So yeah, anyway, then I can talk about Claudio Brook, and he played the character of Dieter de la Guardia, and he was born in 27, Mexico City, but he was involved in 100 different film and TV shows.
Nice.
That's an astronomical amount of work this person did in a 38-year span. When I'm going through somebody's massive fucking list of shit, I've said this throughout most of our podcasts, but I'm looking at horror movies that people were involved in. I didn't see many for Claudio, but I did notice in 1975 a horror film titled The Devil's Reign, and that looks pretty interesting. Like, it seemed to be about a curse and a satanic priest. So I think we should watch that at some point.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down. Mark it on the list.
Yeah, I'm gonna mark it down, man. It's going into the queue.
Yeah.
He was also in a film made in 1978 called The Bees, and that seemed to be a bit horrific.
Was Nicolas Cage anywhere near that film?
Fuck Nicolas Cage. I'm just...
No! The bees!
I know.
Not the bees! Not the bees!
Yeah,
sorry.
He's on my list with Hugh Grant. I'm over.
His recent stuff where he's just off the rails is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Color Out of Space was great.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, the only thing that I've ever really said that I liked about Nicolas Cage was that I knew that he owned a home in New Orleans.
So just living in New Orleans makes you cool with somebody?
That will endear them to me because I just love New Orleans a bunch. And so if you live there, I think you're all right. So anyway, Claudio Brook was also in License to Kill. I want to say that was a James Bond movie.
Yeah, that's a James Bond film.
But he played the character of I want to say the name Montalongo.
Sure.
Montalongo in that movie. Yeah, so I'm not familiar. I haven't seen that movie, and it came out hella long time ago. So
yeah, I've never given a shit about James Bond.
I'm not a big...
The Daniel Craig, the most recent ones are pretty good action movies. Like there's some stuff that you can unpack. Like, this is kind of gross, but if you just want to watch a dumb action movie, you can do worse than the more recent James Bonds.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've just never been interested in James Bond.
I get that. I totally get that. And I think part of it for me personally has to do with Daniel Craig. Like for me, I see him doing that debonair shit. You know what I mean? He's like this suave guy, but I don't see him necessarily like kicking anyone's ass in. I just don't see it. Like, and when he's doing it, I'm seeing it happen with my eyes, but I'm just not believing it.
Right. It's like for me, Matt Damon and
right. If we can go
series.
on like a 10-second tangent,
please do.
I actually think that Matt Damon works in the Bourne movies because he doesn't like, especially in the first one where he doesn't realize that he's a badass, because him being surprised, like, oh fuck, I can do all this violent spy shit. It sells because as a watcher of the film, I also don't believe that he can do those things. So it works really well for me on that level.
No, I totally get that.
Okay.
The next person that I can bring up here played the role of Aura Gris. And I believe that was the little girl in the film.
Yeah, that was a girl.
And yeah, she was Tamara Shananth. And I didn't catch when she was born, but it seemed more recent because she was a little girl in the film. So, but she was best known in Cronos and another film titled Gunman that also came out in '93. Yeah. Then there was Margarita Isabel, and she played Mercedes Gris. I'm assuming that was
the wife.
The wife,
yeah.
Sure. She was born in 1941 in Mexico City, 1941, and she was known for Cronos. And then another film seemed to be Like Water for Chocolate.
I don't know what that movie's about. I remember seeing it around Blockbuster, but I have no idea what it is or was about.
You know, and I've noticed when I was kind of putting together a little list of the characters in this movie, the cast members and whatnot, that title comes up a bit. So I feel like there was everybody involved here is kind of like what we've discussed in the past, where, you know, there's actors and, you know, actresses and directors. They're all meeting each other and kind of deciding that they like each other and working together in the future. So then there was the coroner, Tito, and he was played by Daniel Giménez Camacho, born in 1961 in Madrid. And he was known for Cronos, and he also appears in the 2010 horror film We Are Not What We Are. And I have not seen that film, but it sounds interesting.
We Are Not What We Are?
Yeah, that's the title of the film, We Are Not What We Are.
Yeah, interesting.
And then there was Mario Ivan Martinez, and he played the character of the Alchemist. So I'm assuming that
real quick, when was that movie made?
We Are Not What We Are.
Yeah,
2010.
Okay.
So yeah, on to Mario Ivan Martinez. He played the character of the Alchemist in Cronos. He was born in 1962 in Mexico City. He played some smaller supporting roles in a bunch of films, including Original Sin and Clear and Present Danger. He was also in a horror movie called Don't Panic that came out in 1988. Kind of like a film about unlocking evil forces with a Ouija board. So that sounds kind of cool too.
Sure.
I'm always down for, you know, like cults and satanic priests and Ouija boards and shit like that. So I'd be into watching anything.
Yeah.
Sounded like it included that type of shit. So yeah, then I could talk about Manuelito, the character of Manuelito, and he was played by Fernicio de Bernal, born in 1926 in Mexico. And he was best known in Original Sin and Romeo and Juliet that came out in 1996. That was the one with Leonardo DiCaprio.
And Claire Danes.
Yeah,
I have a fondness for that movie. I don't know.
I'm glad you caught my little wordplay there, Joe.
I mean, it wasn't subtle.
It wasn't.
Actually,
it wasn't great.
No, I never claimed any of what I've been saying all night to be great, but I do have to appreciate Leonardo in I want to say it was called The Revenant.
Yeah,
where he gets his ass whipped by a bear. And I liked it because I was just like, oh, cool. Like, look at this bear go. I'm like, I was rooting for the bear.
Cheering the bear
I was
on?
like, yeah, it was kind of cool. Like, I'm like, do it.
Right.
So anyway, let's see. Who else can we talk about? There was Juan Carlos Colombo, and he was the character who played the funeral director. So you guys remember the guy with the kind of like the slight, maybe not a comb over, but He had a kind of interesting hairdo, and he was standing next to Tito a bunch.
Right.
Yeah, that was the funeral director. And that actor was also in Clear and Present Danger. I think that was, Harrison Ford in that movie?
Yeah, that was a Harrison Ford movie.
Sure. Not so interesting then.
No, the 90s was a weird, bad time for just big Hollywood blockbusters that were... You just watched them once and they were just out of your brain immediately.
Yeah, I feel indifferent toward Harrison Ford when he's not either Han Solo or Indiana Jones. If he's not one of those two characters, I'm just kind of like, eh.
Or Deckard Cain.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I can dig it.
Can you dig it?
I can dig it. Are we going to start singing Whoop There It Is anytime soon?
No. I just wanted to get the reference in and then move on.
All right, cool.
Good.
I like that you did that, actually. I felt it made me really buy into this whole 90s theme that we're talking about here.
Nice.
So yeah, Javier Alvarez played the character of some drunk guy. Eugenio Lobo played the character of some stoned guy.
It's the characters we were born to play.
Yeah, exactly. And then Adriana Oliveira played a tango student, if you guys remember the tango scene, where that one lady, she was just killing it, dancing tango.
As I recall, Cain wanted to get tango lessons from that person.
Yeah, I think...
because she would be fucking good at doing it.
I'm looking forward to watching you tango someday, Cain.
Yeah, the likelihood of that happening is pretty low.
Well, now I'm disappointed. Thank you.
Yeah, now you've made us all sad. If we meet our Patreon goal for this month, then Cain will learn to tango.
Wango tango?
God damn it. All right,
I was
fine.
specifically not making that joke.
No, it's fine. I can't stand Ted Nugent, so it's fine. Let's see. So yeah, I could talk a little bit about the special effects.
You should.
Yeah.
That would be important.
I would agree with you. So yeah, the special effects, the person responsible for this in Cronos did some really cool shit. Laurencio Cordero is best known for the special effects in the movie Predator.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Cool stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I always think about Arnie, and I kind of want to do my Arnold impersonation now for our listeners, but
do it.
You guys go first. Joe?
No. You set it up. You got to knock it down.
Okay. Get to the chopper. Do it now.
It's not a tumor.
Do it now. Well, you got to
grab my hand. Yeah, I can't do it.
But that's from Kindergarten Cop. That's not from Predator, Cain.
I thought we were just doing Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonations.
I was trying to keep it relevant to Predator.
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
There you go. I like that. Yeah, you sound very Austrian, maybe. Okay.
You son of a bitch.
Yes. All right, I think our listeners have had enough of us doing Arnie. So
yeah, they've pushed the stop button long ago.
Yeah, this episode's done.
Yeah, and all this talk about Patreon, and now we're about to get cut off. They're like, these sons of bitches roped us in so far, and then they shit the bed.
And they're just doing Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonations. Yep. Joe doing a terrible one.
Spoiling our fucking Saturday. Thanks, assholes.
That's fine. I can edit myself out.
Yeah, it's true. Right? You can edit all of this out.
Yeah, I can't edit out shit because I'm technologically impaired. Let's see. So yeah, Cordero also did The Mask of Zorro, License to Kill, which I believe was a Steven Seagal flick, right?
Wait, License to Kill? Is this? You sure that's? Because that sounds like a James Bond movie.
You're right. I was just hoping that we could talk about Steven Seagal again. Because
I want to talk about Steven Seagal again.
Oh no, I agree with both of you. I don't want to talk a bunch of shit about Steven Seagal on the offshoot that he's listening.
I do.
Yeah.
Is Steven Seagal on Twitter?
Even if he can't,
I'm not tweeting.
Just tweet like "fuck you" at him, and then
see what happens.
Yeah, just see what happens.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Be like,
I'll do it. But he's like a cop in Tennessee or some shit like that.
That's all the more reason to tweet "fuck you" at him.
He's like a sexual predator.
Well, that's even extra creepier than I could have imagined.
Are you trying to talk us out of it? Because you're.
No, I'm just saying that he's. I'm gonna fucking tweet at him, and I'm gonna talk shit at him, But even though he's like an old
How
dude,
old is he?
I'm
How
pretty
old
sure
is
he
he?
could still kick my ass.
He's not going to track you down.
You never know.
You don't know.
How bored is he? How
He's
bored is he?
insane.
You never know. He might be totally fucking fried out from all this, like, you know, just the film industry slowing down and
Oh, he's like 70 years. He's like 68 years old. I could fucking take a 68-year-old dude.
okay. You could probably take him. I mean, he's a much larger man than I am, though. I think he's like well over 6 feet tall and several.
Yeah, he's 6'4".
Yeah. See, like, I mean, I'm basically like 6 feet tall, but I'm kind of, I'm not like a stocky dude. I'm pretty thin. So I'm feeling like even a 68-year-old Steven Seagal could still crack me in half. I'm just guessing, but
I mean, he's gonna probably hurt me, but I'm just saying ultimately I'm gonna win.
Because you're persistent.
Well, I've got the elasticity of my skin, the strength of my bones, all that stuff's still there.
Yeah.
And he looks like he ate his younger self and
like Val Kilmer
expanded from there. Yeah, you know what? Val Kilmer deserves a break. All right, Val Kilmer, that dude had a rough time.
Yeah,
right?
Didn't he have some kind of thing with his throat?
Yeah,
yeah, he had a bunch of rough shit.
I don't want to
him,
make fun of him too much.
And I don't currently. I'm not saying that shit won't show up in the future, but I don't currently know that Val Kilmer is a fucking sexual predator.
At least,
but enough people have accused Steven Seagal that I'm convinced. Like, it only takes one for me, like one person, and I'm like, fuck you, Steven Seagal. But enough people have done it that now it's like somebody should probably cut his legs off at the thigh.
I get that.
Damn. All right. So anyway, Laurencio Cordero, the special effects artist of Cronos, he also did special effects in Romancing the Stone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of cool. I remember that's a movie from the 80s that I fancied as a young
Yeah, this is just a tour through late 80s and early 90s movies.
Yeah, it's been interesting and fun to kind of take that stroll together. So yeah, then there's Maria Figueroa, and she was sort of like the head of art design. Pilar de Burgos, and he had sculpted some of those angels that we were looking at that like the Beatles were crawling out of, and ultimately the angel, the I believe it was the Saint Michael that the Cronos was hidden in, because earlier I was talking about how that device made by the alchemist was buried inside the statue. So now I'm going to mention the cinematographer, because we all fancied the cinematographer's work very much. I mean,
yeah, the shots in this movie were fucking awesome.
Extremely artful and just, very heads up stuff. And that cinematographer's name is Guillermo Navarro. And definitely was a fan and worked closely with Guillermo Del Toro. Del Toro used him in The Devil's Backbone. They worked together on Pan's Labyrinth, Pacific Rim, Cronos. And also, I thought this was kind of cool, but he was the cinematographer on It Might Get Loud, if anybody recognizes that documentary that featured The Edge, Jack White, and Jimmy Page, and they're all kind of wailing away on their...
Just noodling.
Yeah. I didn't particularly enjoy that, but...
I didn't watch it. I've seen like clips of it on YouTube, but I haven't actually seen the movie.
But yeah, anyway, Navarro did some cinematography work on that documentary, so I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah.
That's cool.
And then we all gave high notes to the score of this film.
Yes. Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah. And that composer...
Not your traditional horror music. No. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about it.
It really did do its own thing.
Yep.
Yeah. It sort of walked independently along the visuals, but it definitely was complementary, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that composer's name is Javier Alvarez. And he was also a character in the film. He was one of the people laying on the ground bleeding.
Was that when the building fell down and the alchemist died?
I didn't... Because I don't know what Javier looks like, it was hard for me to identify. It seemed as though there were several people laying on the ground bleeding. So I'm just assuming it was a male laying on the ground bleeding somewhere in the film.
My guess is that it was during the scene where it talks about the building falling on the alchemist.
Yeah, that's not a bad guess. It's really not. Alvarez also scored a film called 0.56%, and then another film called H2O MX. How about those for titles?
Those are definitely titles.
Yeah.
So that's basically my list of the cast members and the crew and all of those who were relevant to the creation of Cronos.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, then why don't we go ahead and, Joe, why don't you tell us about your personal experience with the movie?
Yeah.
And then let us know if there's anything that popped out to you that you'd like to throw out into the ether.
I mean, most of it we covered, pretty tightly in the episode, just talking about like, oh yeah, this was cool. The makeup was legit. I had never seen this movie until tonight, so it was all new. But yeah, the makeup, the like ghoulish kind of corpse decay.
So good.
Oh yeah.
Face paint was awesome. The thing that jumped out at me that I thought was interesting is there was a lot of, some of it was subtle, some of it wasn't. Very religious, very religious imagery throughout the movie, if I can talk with my mouth. Even the characters' names, like Jesus Grease, and there were like some crucifixion-y kind of wounds that happened. And I'd be interested in digging into symbolically like what was going on there, like if the listeners caught that and what they thought that kind of meant, or even what you guys think.
I noticed the name Cronos is a god of time, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't jump out at me, but now that you mention it, it has. But yeah, because one of the characters' name is Angel.
Yeah.
So there might be a story within the story.
Yeah.
That
some kind of
we're
subtext
that we're not smart enough to pick up.
Or maybe like there was like it was a cultural component that we were kind of on the outside of. I'm not sure.
Right on.
I mean, that's definitely possible. But hey, if any listeners know more about that, feel free to leave a comment, shoot us a message.
Yeah.
Give us your info about this.
Yeah. Use the shout at us button on our website if you want.
Yeah. All right, JD.
So yeah, one of the things that really hooked me that I noticed in this film was it actually took place inside of the actual Cronos device that the alchemist created.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
So inside this this device lived some sort of creature, this little creature, and it
was an insect.
Yeah, it was like some type of strange, like alien looking insect that like basically like was like, it looked like it was like on an exercise bike, like pedaling away and making all the internal mechanisms, function. I thought it was an incredible little instrument. But the actual Cronos itself, it just to describe it to anyone who hasn't seen the movie, it almost looked like a strange little like golden pill case or something that actually had like scorpion legs and a tail with a stinger, and the way it would give you in the immortality was to actually penetrate your flesh with its little like meat hook like legs and then go ahead and zap you with its stinger. But the special effects surrounding all that were really cool. Just the way the stinger they do that close up shot of it entering the skin, and
yeah, that was real good.
Yeah, it was awesome. You could kind of see like the skin, like, giving into it, and kind of like it, once it ruptures the flesh and like little blood. There wasn't a ton of blood in this film, but I was, I enjoyed the way they used their gore.
Yeah.
Midway, or no, it was kind of like, I guess, 3/4 of the way through the film when Lupe's character, what was the main guy's name? Grease.
Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus Grease. His character started to really rot. Like, and I'm talking like Funky Town. Fucking, someone took him to Funky Town real bad, and he had like pock marks and gross, like sunken face and like gruesome, putrid looking flesh. But once he started going foul, and then at the end, I mean, he just straight up turned into he reminded me of like the Dracula from that Dracula film.
The Bram
Yeah,
Stoker's Dracula?
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
He had like that pale kind of like very, there were a lot of striations to his flesh.
Right.
And, then he ended up in his final state, less gruesome, but still pretty fucking gruesome,
Mhm.
Yeah. He was uncomfortable to look at.
Yeah, so I felt like the special effects and the makeup artists really pulled it together nicely for that. And, I would say that would be a strong summary of my impression. So, yeah, Kane.
And was there anything that jumped out at you that you'd like to throw into the ether to get answered or for us to kind of digest with you?
I think I've wrapped my mind about as far around as I could get it for the first watch. Like I said, this is the first time I've watched this film. I'm going to watch this film again because I feel like this is a film you got to watch more than once to catch some of those nuances. And I would even suggest to people that they kind of like look into the backstories that you and Joe mentioned, like if there was some mythology or some religion, tied into, characters' names and then, different just religious elements to try to gain a little bit more insight to the story and see if there are stories within the story.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kane, what's your impression?
All right. Well, I mean, this is not the first time I've watched the film.
Okay.
It's been a while. I watched it after I watched Pan's Labyrinth.
Okay.
Pan's Labyrinth is what introduced me.
That was the hook?
Well, knowingly introduced me to Guillermo Del Toro.
Mhm.
I had seen Mimic. I had seen Blade 2.
Blade 2, a classic.
But I was young enough when I saw those movies that I didn't really care about who the director was.
Right.
After I watched Pan's Labyrinth, I kind of went back and watched stuff through his back catalog. And I really enjoyed this film because of the fact that it was a really unique take on the vampire myth.
Oh,
Sure.
Absolutely.
I remember just being fascinated with the directions that he took the film and how the monstrosity didn't affect, Jesus's mind. He wasn't like a bad guy. So much so that in the end of the film, when he's like, I'm going to eat my granddaughter, he kind of steps back and he's like, no, fuck this. And he kills the bug.
Right. It compromised his mind, or his flesh, but not his mind.
Right.
Exactly.
That's a awesome detail.
So I thought it was a great film. The thing that kind of jumps out at me and makes me want to ask the world this. So in the beginning of the film, when we discover the Cronos device, the statue that it's kind of hidden in starts leaking insects.
Mhm.
So what I was wondering is, they look like cockroaches and they probably were cockroaches.
Yeah.
But what if they aren't? What if that's the life cycle of the insect that operates the Cronos device? And what if those are like the pupa stage or whatever, or
like its larvae?
Not the larval.
No, not,
Sure.
you don't think it would be its larvae?
No, it would be like one form of it, like of its life cycle. Because
Could be.
obviously that insect can live for hundreds and hundreds of years.
Sure.
So we don't know what it looks like in its infancy, although we do get to see some pretty cool images of the insect inside the box. And in the little book, the instruction manual book
Yeah.
that the bad guy of the film has the whole time. So I'm wondering, were those just cockroaches that, were drawn to that bug and then realized it wasn't what they wanted and then they left? Or were those vampire bug babies?
Right. Yeah. And now they're unleashed upon the world.
Well, some of them. Some
Right.
of them died. That little girl was pretty quick about beating them to death.
It's true.
But yeah, so that's it for me. It was a good film. I had a good time watching it.
Right. My headcanon is that the kid goes on to battle monsters in later life.
I really like...
I think that would be a good story to follow.
I think so too. No, definitely.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, do we have anything else to say about this awesome film?
I recommend it to anybody who's interested in a different spin-off potential vampire
agree.
film.
And just
Excellent.
a really pretty horror movie.
Definitely.
It
The
is.
cinematography was top
Yeah,
notch.
it's gorgeous.
Well, you've come to the end of the road with us, kiddies.
Aw.
We've talked about this film, and now the reason that we chose this film for this episode was, we're obviously going to be, putting this out after it's already done. But the Day of the Dead is it's an important cultural holiday in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And so in light of that, before I finish up by begging you to like us on YouTube and click bells and all that stuff, there's a website that you should go check out called theyoungcenter.org. And it's a charitable organization based out of Chicago, and they focus on helping migrant children.
Nice.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So if you go to theyoungcenter.org, that'll give you access to their company or the charity itself, so you can find more information about it. And it'll give you the chance to donate or figure out ways that you can help. Because somebody's going to have to do it.
Right.
So I would like to get people to help in any way that they can.
Absolutely.
But in light of this, go to WeGiveYouBrainworms.com. Take a look at our website. Go to there and just yell at us and tell us that you went to theyoungcenter.org and threw a donation at them.
Yeah.
And we will give you a shout out.
We will. We absolutely will.
Because we think people that donate to worthy causes are awesome people.
Indeed, we do. Indeed.
But that does it. If you watch Cronos, make sure that you give us all of the dirty deets.
Mm-hmm.
Everything you liked about it. You can find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify. Send us a message or comment.
Yeah.
Also, we warn you against forgetting to follow, like, and subscribe.
Yeah, that would cause me to send my own personal Cronos Scorpion to threaten your life with.
I feel like I'm forgetting something, Joe.
Oh, is it to remind them to click the bell?
Yes. You have to click the bell.
Please click the bell.
It tells you that when we post things, and it tells YouTube that you like what we do. Everybody wins.
Subtle reminder for everyone.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Happy late Day of the Dead.